Of this video, let's agree who is the spender, who is the saver.
Both the spender and you are this.
My goodness. That is the importance of emergency funds. Like I had the head knowledge.
Don't say God forbid, because I know as believers.
Yes, I think that was my wrong
as
mindset last year.
Say, oh,
like it's never gonna happen to me.
It's true. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a continuation of the last video on Let's Chat. And last week we talked about phone questions, talked about love, long distance marriage, long distance relationship, all this good stuff. And this week we're going into the much more serious conversation. So on finance and career and how we put God in the center of our relationship. And today I have with me my special guest, my husband. Can you introduce yourself?
Not so much introduction. My name is Covenant, like I said, and then I'm Tracy's husband. And last week was a lot of fun.
First half of this video
was a lot of fun. So I'm actually excited to continue with this conversation.
Okay, so I would say that if you've not seen the first part, I would advise that you do. You can see it before this, but you can also see this and then go back, whichever one you prefer. But please drop a comment on that video and subscribe if you haven't, and let's grow and learn together.
Yes, please like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm sure she has very brilliant content. I enjoy her content too.
So today, as I said, we'll be talking about finance. He loves finance.
Yes, but it's also a very serious topic to talk about.
It's over finance. So we're going to learn.
I'm excited.
Let's learn a lot from him, or maybe if it's something you know, just a reminder and being reinforced. In that sense. So what's one lesson we learned the hard way about money?
The hard way about money. First is, I feel like you said one thing. We've learned a lot of things the hard way about money. Like a lot of things. And I feel like for everybody in their financial journey, like you're consistently learning so many things. If you're actually on a financial journey and you have a financial goal, you make mistakes, you adjust, you will learn. So for me, there's a lot of things that has happened that has been very difficult or hard for us in terms of our financial journey. But I'll talk about the one that is this year. Like I've said this every time to you or like to a couple of friends around us about finance, and that is the importance of emergency funds. Like I had the head knowledge. I studied finance. It was last year that I really studied and learned about the importance of emergency fund. But all through last year, as a family, we learned about it, we knew about it, but we just kept saving up our money without clear goal for which one would be emergency fund. Usually people will have like 3 to 6 months of their living expenses as the emergency fund. We never had that. And unfortunately in life, like things happen fast. And so all the money we had saved last year that was making us feel so good and all of that, a lot of things happened so fast and everything was gone. And then there were now actual emergencies came after that.
I think it was the emergencies that
took them away in that sense.
It was the emergencies.
And then we realized how difficult that was, not having an actual emergency fund. Because now we are feeling overwhelmed that our savings is gone, but we also had to deal with those emergencies in that sense. So for me, the hardest lesson I learned, and that's basically this year, beginning of this year, is emergency fund. And I think we've responded very well because as a family now, we make sure we have emergency. We have like 2 of them actually that we created based on special emergencies that we have in our family. So that's the added lesson in that sense. And I want to beg anybody out there, as a couple,
even an individual,
a single person, please get an emergency fund. Have the money that you saved out there for the rainy day, for the challenging days that happen.
Don't say God forbid, because I know as believers.
Yes, I think that was my wrong mindset last year.
Say,
like it's never gonna happen to me.
It's true. Life, things happen, and just take example Joseph. How God gave Potiphar a vision about the famine, the years that there will be famine, and 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. God already showed Potiphar that vision. Joseph interpreted it. Joseph gave them a structure on how to save for the famine days that are coming. So it's just truth. It's just what happens in life.
You know what's really interesting with what you just said? One of the lessons with Potiphar, it was not Potiphar, it was Pharaoh.
Oh, Pharaoh,
Pharaoh was the one that had the dream about the 7 years of famine and 7 years of plenty in that sense. But guess what? The people that suffered the most from that dream
They're God's people.
was God's people. Jacob.
Yes.
Jacob was the man, the child
one
of
with
the covenant,
blessing is
the one with the blessing
yes.
that directly got it from Isaac, who got it from Abraham. Yet he was starving. So I'm saying that there are conditions for us as believers. Yes, our lot is preserved. But what happens when the whole world goes into 2020 COVID-19 lockdown?
Yes.
There are things like that that are going to happen. So it's not that your own lot is not preserved. It's that things happen in the world. An election can happen, a new leader can come in and change policies. Like things will happen. I can promise you that in the midst of that, God will see you through. But the challenging thing most of the times is that when you don't have plans, you've not prepared in that sense. And I think gradually we are getting more confident about emergencies, about challenges, because we are planning for them and really preparing for them. So that was a hard lesson. And I also thought, for me, this was my thought. I don't know what you think. I thought that it was good that those emergencies happened because we learned lesson that we've now grown from that will prevent more difficult circumstances in the future from happening to us. So I think sometimes God can allow his children to go through those things to teach them lessons, but not everybody will learn it in that sense. But because I was really interested in finance, I really said to God, okay, God, I see the lesson you are teaching me here. I had the head knowledge about emergency funds, but I never really had an emergency fund for our family. We never had one. So we started immediately. And it's been good. Like a funny, can you tell them a funny story? So like, we had the medical bill this week. Would you share the story in that sense? And you called me and you were like, baby, I'm so proud of you. Like,
so the point is, in the US, their medical system is very different from the country where we came from. So you can get bills that are just ridiculous, like the amount and all of that. But my response with this particular bill compared to previous time is, okay, worst case scenario, I have this amount like saved up. Worst case scenario, I can take out of it and just clear it without being in debt, without feeling pressure by the bill. And I was grateful for the kind of husband I had, that like his foresight in ensuring that we put things aside, like we have emergency, we have savings and all other things like that. So ensuring that we have something put aside so that unexpected things that you are not planning for in life, or even things that you are planning for, but maybe you didn't pay so much attention to, will not eat you at once
so hard
and shake you, and you're in debt and all of that.
You know the interesting thing, and for a little bit more transparency, we are not putting so much out there, but for a little bit more transparency, the emergency that we had at the end of last year stroke this year was medical related. So it was the same medical last year, the same medical, but the response was different because now we have an actual emergency fund.
So I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, we go into some of the money in the emergency fund and just
we'll be all right in that
we'll
sense.
Be fine in that sense. So so that's like a very important lesson that I feel like every person
is not well talked about in marriages. For
if you're already out of your parents' home, you should
try your best.
Have an emergency fund in that sense. So in the first half of this video, we talked about who is the spender, who is the saver. I will not mention that anymore. Go watch the first part.
So who is the spender, who is the saver?
You said that I'm the saver.
Let's agree on this video. Let's agree. Who is the spender, who is the saver?
I'm both the spender and you are the saver.
My goodness.
Just answer.
She won't admit. But anyway, I think I'm more likely to save rather than spend, and she's more likely to spend rather than save. And usually in every marriage, there is money personalities. They say that opposites usually attract. And usually in terms of money personality, there are two major ones, which is like there's a spender and then there's a saver in that sense. And I think the first thing is understanding money personalities and understanding that it's complementary for each other. It's not something to demonize the person that likes to spend more. And maybe what we're really trying to say is that seasons change. So for me, I don't spend a lot in little bits in that sense. But there are seasons that I have a major thing I want to buy.
He spends like
like once in that sense.
Like you.
Yes, but there are 6 months. So sometimes it changes in that sense in how much we want to, or sometimes it's priority in that sense. So maybe I don't buy a lot of clothes, but once I want to buy clothes, like I want to buy a box, something like that in that sense. But again, not demonizing your partner in that sense, in whether they are a spender or someone that likes to save. I like to save a lot. Like I'll save a little bit of like money, $50. I'm trying to save it or put it in some form of fund or something in that sense. But don't demonize the spender. Don't demonize the saver. Try to understand, because one thing that contributes to money personality is the background, like the home we all grew up in, what examples we saw around money habits we saw around people that we grew up with in that sense. So don't demonize it, understand it, and then use the strength of each other. The person that saves will most likely help the home manage the money better, and the person that spends will most likely help the family relax a little bit. I think you help me more on that aspect in that sense. Sometimes I want to save when we as a family need to actually go out to the restaurant and have a family time in that sense. So yeah.
So can you say like what we do to like manage it, aside from understanding that okay, there are two different
two different personalities. Practically what we can do. So one of the things we do is that we make room and a certain amount for her. And so you get to spend that without anybody asking you questions. Whatever you want. If you like to save it. If you like to spend it. In that sense. So I like to put it in for each other in the in our budget.
So we have something called the guilt-free.
Yeah, so we have the guilt-free spending, and our guilt-free spending means we've allocated in our monthly budget, we've allocated a certain amount for me. I'm joking.
That way, no party is feeling deprived.
Yeah.
In that sense, no party feels deprived. Everybody's need are met in that sense. Okay. Yeah. So how do we approach budgeting and combining finances? So a question in the lens that in society it's popular, like it's a popular knowledge that a lot of issues that couples have revolves around FEX and finance in that sense. So and a lot of people believe that, like ladies, they will say, oh, I can't put my money with any man. Even some guys have that mindset too, and then they say, oh, my money is my money, his money is our money. So for us, how would you say that we approach budgeting and combining finance?
So I think it's more of a continuation from the last question we talked about, because I think first is that the foundation for us, and again, different people have their own opinions and the way they do it. For us as believers, we believe in building together, and we think building together helps us achieve our goals much more faster. In that sense. So our first approach is that we combine finances. So we actually believe in combining finances, and we get it in that sense. I think we had examples around us of people that didn't combine for very obvious, unnecessary reasons, because maybe they had partners that were challenging the way that were not trustworthy. So it's okay. We understand people have had experiences. People have watched their parents with experiences. So it's okay. For us, we love it. We believe it from our persuasions, from our faith, and then we see that it works for us. It works for our goal when we pull resources together to achieve a common. So our approach is that we combine finances. But the other thing that I find interesting, and I'll get your take on this, is that there are two main things with money or finance as couples that is not well talked about in that sense. Before you start talking about should we combine, should we not combine, I feel like it's important to talk about what are your financial goals as a family. Do you have financial goals? Because if you have financial goals at some level, you have to come together in that sense. However structure you create in combining, if you have collective financial goals, you have to come together one way or the other, right? And the other thing is, if you have financial goal, the next thing is you actually have to have a form of financial structure. You get what I'm trying to say? So for us, we have both. I think every year, like January every year, we actually review our marriage goals for that year, and we have a section for finance. In that sense, the beautiful thing was that all of our financial goals last year, we met it. And this year, I think we are doing very well. In that sense, it's only been half of the year around this time in that sense. So we have financial goals as a couple, and because of that, we create financial structure. So, and once you start thinking about financial goals as a family, financial structures, then it actually forces people to think more deeply about that question: should we combine?
Or should we
because, like, I'm wondering what are people saying in the sense that should we combine accounts in that sense? So, what account are you talking about? if you are really trying to ensure you meet up financial goals or financial structure, there are things like emergency funds. So people put it in high yield savings account, for instance, in that sense. Usually because it's emergency for the family, in that sense, if the house burns down, God forbid that happens. You understand what I'm trying to say in that sense? It's family emergency fund. Or breaks down in that sense. You get what I'm trying to say? So for something like that, I feel like you need emergency fund, and that should be combined. You are both contributing to it for your goals. Savings account or investment account sometimes. You get what I'm trying to say? But generally, savings account, if you are saving for your children's college, in that sense, those look like things that should be combined in that sense. So, and there are separate accounts for all these things. But if you put all your money in the same place, then there's no like allocating things for things in that sense. Then there is like investment accounts. So retirement accounts in that sense cannot be combined. At least so far that we know of 401ks, Roth IRA, in the UK ISAs, in that sense. Like those kind of accounts are not combinable in that sense. They belong to the person that is working, and the employers are saving the money for their retirement. So when you say combine finance, and that's which account are you trying to talk about? Once couples have joint financial goals, it necessitates joint financial structures, and those financial structures now involves things like the accounts that are combined, the accounts that cannot be combined by the nature of those accounts because they are individual personal accounts in that sense. But joint financial goals is important, I think, in that sense. And then once you have financial structures and joint financial goals, you now begin to work out how the structure works for your own particular context as a family or as a couple, in that sense. Who looks at the budget more? Who looks at this more? Like whose strength is it to who understand investing more, numbers more? You get what I'm trying to say in that sense. So it can even still be personalized. But then there are other things like accountability. Like I feel like it allows accountability, at least for me.
Combining.
I realized that it really helped me to become way more accountable because I don't just make promises to people. I don't just get to a place and do impulse purchases or impulse buying, because like there's somebody that's contributing to the fund that needs to know about what I'm about to do,
and
in that
just
sense.
Vice versa. In that sense.
And then it breeds transparency. And I found that it's easier to deal with the transparency and the accountability upfront than it is when there are challenges with finances to now begin to resolve all those mishaps or explaining in that sense. So that's what I would really say about that.
Thank you. That was a good one. If you've watched this video up until this point, I want to say thank you. Let's know in the comment section what stood out to you. What did you learn? Are you pro combined finance or are you against it? Let's know in the comment section, and whichever one you choose, let's also know why you are for combining finance or against combining finance.
I actually am very curious at what like people think, or maybe there are suggestions for people. Maybe people want us to know about a particular high yield savings account that we should put our emergency fund in, or like maybe things you agree with or you don't agree with, or questions you want to ask us, or suggestions you have for us, or even maybe there are things you've navigated that you've learned better about in that sense that you just want to
share. So please do well to do that, and don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like if you enjoyed this video. If you've not seen the first part of this video, please go and watch the first part. Till next time, remain blessed. Bye.
Bye.